About a week ago, I stumbled upon this Instagram post. It has the alleged opinions of older generations and their judgments of younger generations. Every single one of them is negative, just total slander. And I think that the point that this post is trying to make is that this generation of teenagers that I'm in is not as bad as everyone says it is. I mean, does it really matter what our parents say about us if their parents were saying the exact same thing? According to this unverified quote from Aristotle, we've been disappointing our parents since 400 BC. But on the other hand, the difference between us and past generations should be evident from the fact that we're less than a minute into this video and I've already cited an Instagram post as my only source of information. We were raised on devices. It all started with just a simple box TV. Me and my sister would get up early in the morning before preschool to watch some good, wholesome entertainment on PBS Kids. I'm talking Sesame Street, Arthur, Word World, Sid the Science Kid, Wild Kratts, Super Y, Dinosaur Train, Dragon Tales, Clifford. The list goes on. PBS Kids combined with a handful of VeggieTales DVDs basically made up my introduction to screens.
Who are you? I'm from the IRS, and I've come to attack Shark.
Then one fateful day, my dad came home with work with a little something he was borrowing from his office for the weekend that would change my life forever. The Xbox 360. And Kinect sensor. For anyone who doesn't know, to try and compete with the Wii, Xbox released the Xbox 360 with a small camera that you would set up and it would track your body movements in order to control the game. Apparently everybody's Kinect sensor broke, but mine's still kicking. My parents knew that if we played video games it would rot our brains and make us kill each other, but I guess they just figured if we were getting some exercise, how bad could it be? So Kinect Sports and Kinect Adventures showed me the wonders of video games. And we loved it so much that the following Christmas, we got our own Xbox. To keep. Yes, this was a big deal. Yes, I remember it to this day. And yes, I can still do the Kinect Star Wars Han Solo dance. Fast forward to the next Christmas when our parents realized their mistake and they decided to just get us some games that we could play without making a ton of noise while our mom was trying to make dinner. I believe that lot was Lego Marvel, Lego Harry Potter, and Minecraft. And you'd better believe we made some gems. And around that same time was the most fatal blow to our attention spans. The iPad. I shared an iPad with my older sister and my younger brother, and we played games like Angry Birds, Angry Birds Go, Angry Birds Space, Angry Birds Star Wars, Angry Birds Star Wars 2, Angry Birds Rio, Angry Birds Transformers, Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Epic, and Angry Birds Friends. We did not have very broad horizons. At that point, screens really just meant entertainment to us. They didn't really have a social aspect. But when my sister and I each saved up enough money to get our own personal iPads in December 2018, that all changed. We learned about texting. Not that we had that much to text about, but every day we probably sent each other hundreds of gifts. But even with our own devices, we still had very regulated screen time. We had time limits on our devices, so we couldn't just play games all day, and we had to request apps from our parents so that we couldn't just go on Omegle and get traumatized like the rest of our generation. But that all ended 1 year later. In March 2020, an announcement came over the intercom at school that we were going into online school. And let me tell you, those first few months of online school were rough. The district had no idea what they were doing, so they told the teachers nothing, and I didn't have any assignments in most of my classes for the rest of the year. Some of my teachers gave me assignments, but let's be honest, I did not do a single one. That's right, I did not do a single lick of homework during online school. And I know you didn't either, but my parents thought I did. And as I sat in my bedroom with the doors shut, my parents thinking I was pursuing my educational prowess, I learned about something almost as important: YouTube. Over time, I discovered more and more creators and just started to spend more and more hours of my day watching YouTube. Then I got my first smartphone in 7th grade, and I got Instagram when I went back to school for real in 8th grade. Reels and YouTube Shorts started to rot my brain, and that essentially brings us to today. That progression probably sounds familiar to people my age. And now, a lot of us are all in the same spot. We know what we rely on, and even if we're able to admit it, it's really, really hard to get out. And if you're like me, every few months you watch a new guide or get a new app that's supposed to help you break the cycle, but none of it works. It just seems like every solution dumbs down the problem into a matter of pure convenience as opposed to an actual chemical addiction. And if you think that there is a social aspect, you're only partly right. Instagram sells itself with the active parts of the app. That's instant messaging, liking friends' posts, seeing stories, posting your own stories. But what keeps you on Instagram is the passive aspect, i.e. Reels. And the way they get you to stay is by making the passive feel as active as possible. That's why the app shows you when your friends are liking video. That's why they make it so quick and easy to send videos to your friend. That's why they keep implementing new features like reposts and blends to try and make it feel like you're really affecting somebody, but you're not. So that's really why I think this generation is so addicted to social media. We want connection, and this is the way that we've learned to try and get it. But like every generation of parents, I think ours might be right about some things. So that's why what I'm about to tell you is the most cliche, overused, uncreative piece of advice you're ever gonna hear. Go talk to people.
I said strange, they bleeding me out, but I do it again. I'm stepping in doubt if it's on the game. Check me out, songs with my brain.
I was once told by a very, 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 very wise man that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. You've probably heard that before, and I feel like it especially applies to social media. After all, it's figured out how to convince you that it's a replacement for connection. And at the risk of sounding even more cliche, in 50 years, you're not gonna remember that fake connection. You're only gonna remember the real connections that you had with real people. So yes, you've heard this before, but please, please, please don't disregard it just because it's been said a million times. Don't waste the people around you. They won't be in your life forever, and that's what makes your time with them special.
Doesn't mean that I'm a sucker for the pain. Trying to figure out if I should run away. Sit me down, look me in the face. Tell me what you say. You said, this ain't about what you know. Let it be beautiful. With no glory. Let it be beautiful.
And finally, don't believe the lies of Big Zuck. Because no matter how much he pretends to try, there is no substitute for real connection.